ladies and mostly gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about Chromie Time, or Time Walking Campaigns as it's now known, the brand new 10 to 50 leveling system coming to the game in the Shadowlands pre-patch. But before we get into that, guys, I just want to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to check me out streaming the Shadowlands beta or pre-patch every single day, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM. Right, so Chromie Time. This is something I've been testing extensively over on the stream for the last couple months, and we've just had the release candidate for the pre-patch released onto the PTR, so presuming it's done, right? That's kind of the presumption at this point. They can make changes, but we're going to go off that. And yeah, so let's talk about the system. Let's talk about what's fastest, my general thoughts on it, and all that good stuff. But before we start with all that, I guess we'll just go over the basics of the system and how to kind of activate it on a character, because I know some people are still a little bit confused on all of that. So once you reach level 10 out of Exile's Reach, or as an allied race, or any other character, you can go to Chromie. Now, Chromie is located by the embassies in Orgrimmar and Stormwind. It's actually a little marker on the map. Most of the time they will give you a little breadcrumb quest to go to the Hero's Call Board, which will send you back to Chromie, and that's essentially how you do it. Once you speak to Chromie, you choose your expansion. It scales the world from level 10 to level 50. It also puts you in a different phase to everybody else, which is kind of interesting. And then you go along your merry way. Now, as I said, we've been testing this extensively on the channel. We've dipped into pretty much every expansion on that list, and I think I have a pretty good idea of what's good and what's bad with this system, and I'm going to give you some advice as well on how to level the fastest from 10 to 50. Now, the system as a whole, I love it. I really, really do. It's so much fun to dive back into those expansions and level through the content as it was kind of at the time, you know, as it kind of was at the time. And it's very jarring sometimes to be like a super low level like Death Knight or Demon Hunter leveling in Outland, for example. That's just a very, very strange thing, and it's definitely worth doing. It's super fun, super weird, and I enjoy it a lot. Now, speaking of Outland, Burning Crusade was one of the ones I did do first because I love Burning Crusade, and I gotta say, it's not the best. Look, Outland is some of the oldest leveling content in World of Warcraft, and it holds such a dear place in my heart, you know. Hellfire Peninsula, such a fantastic zone. But yeah, it is not very fast for leveling, but if you want to do Burning Crusade, it's fun, right? Also did Wrath of the Lich King. Wrath of the Lich King, another one, very, very dear to my heart, extremely good expansion. I ended up spending a lot of time in Howland Fjord. There's 12 chapters to do there, and it's very weird because, as I said, you know, some of the oldest questing content in the game where you would do a chapter and then you wouldn't have anything to do, whereas the newer expansions are much more smooth. So you take, like, for example, Mr. Pandaria. Mr. Pandaria was one of the ones that I did all the way to the end, all the way up to level 50, and I actually managed to do pretty much every zone in Pandaria, which was super interesting. So with Wrath, I finally finished Howland Fjord and went to Grizzly Hills, and I would imagine I would have capped out probably in the next zone after that. But as I said, with Pandaria, pretty much every zone was complete by the time I hit level 50, which was really cool, and that's kind of the intention of the system. So as I said, the newer expansions definitely feel a lot smoother when leveling with the Chromie Time. Now, as I said, you can do Wrath, you can do BC, that's fine. The strangest one is Cataclysm. Now, Cataclysm is a really interesting one. They've kind of grouped it together with places like Elwyn Forest, Red Ridge, and obviously Twilight Highlands and Hyjal and stuff like that. And the way that Cataclysm essentially works is that you level in the old, like, vanilla Cataclysm zones, and then at level 30, you kind of get pushed into Hyjal or Twilight Highlands or Oldham and places like that. But you can continue to level through Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor if you wanted to. So you could cap out potentially in Tanaris or Stranglethorn Vale or the Blasted Lands if you really wanted to. But the intention of the Cataclysm one is to go, you know, to the Cataclysm zones at level 30 when you get flying. Flying is level 30. If anyone's ever wondering, you will fly at level 30 in all of these zones. So yeah, keep that in mind. So I mentioned Cataclysm Vanilla, but what about actual Vanilla? What about Classic? Now, to activate Chromie Time for Classic, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is press Escape, press Exit Game, go to your game launcher, go to the drop down and select World of Warcraft Classic, and then just level through there. No, I'm joking. Obviously, there is no Classic option. It's simply just Cataclysm, because those zone files don't exist in the game anymore. Now, for me, the most fun I had with all of the expansions was Legion. Legion was perfect. I leveled a Paladin in Legion, and I managed to complete every single zone, and I capped level 50 as I handed in the final quest of Legion, which is insane. Now, I don't know if that's just really lucky and how that ended up, but that is exactly how it went down, and that is super interesting, and it was kind of fun to have an artifact weapon and level it up through relics in different zones and go through all that story again, because Legion is a lot of fun. I love that expansion. So Legion was fun. Now, Battle for Azeroth I also didn't complete all of the Battle for Azeroth zones, but I did level up. Yeah, eventually got to level 50, I think halfway through like Stormsong Valley or something like that as the Alliance. So really at this point, there's one more expansion which I have not mentioned, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, it is the fastest expansion by a country mile, and it is Warlords of Draenor. Now, Warlords of Draenor gets a lot of crap for being not a very good expansion, but I tell you this, the questing experience in Warlords of Draenor is phenomenal. I love questing in Draenor, and I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. I think the questing content in Draenor is really when the the developers started getting in the swing of things with new quest design and stuff like that, and it's such a great questing experience. Obviously, you have the garrison stuff, but you don't really spend too much time in there when leveling up. Now, as I said, Draenor is the fastest expansion. Now, Des Mephisto, one of the fastest levelers in the world, managed to do a 5-hour run of Warlords of Draenor, and that was very recently, and that is with all the changes that they've done. For me, I was leveling through Draenor at a very, very fast rate. It was a lot of fun, as I mentioned. I was actually using Azeroth Autopilot, which is an add-on for leveling that basically tells you where to go. Des Mephisto is actually one of the ones who makes the routes for that. So yeah, Warlords of Draenor was the option that it told me to go, and I was leveling extremely fast. Now, the reason that Draenor is fast is, of course, the treasures and the bonus objectives. Now, the treasures have been nerfed, but in the end of the day, they're still free XP, and they're definitely worth picking up. And the bonus objectives, of course, are an absolute ton of XP, sometimes being an entire level of experience, which is just insane. So, spoiler alert, Warlords of Draenor, if you want to level fast from 10 to 50, will be your fastest expansion. But if you want to have a good time and you want to play through some very, very good content, I really enjoyed Legion, but that's personal preference. Some people could love the kind of disjointedness of the Burning Crusade, and I implore you to give it all a go. You know, if you feel nostalgic for Wrath of the Lich King, go in there and just play it, and it is fun. I really, really liked going back to those zones, sticking on the in-game music, chilling out. It was a nice little nostalgia trip, and it's a nice way of leveling. It's definitely a lot better than the system we currently have in Battle for Azeroth, I tell you that much. So, as a system, I think Chromie time is great. I love going back, I love leveling up through that. Honestly, just like in the beta, I could level alts all the way to 50 and just leave them alone, just to experience some of that old content once again. Now, another thing they did want to achieve with this level squish is that every level feels important, and I feel like they've definitely achieved that. When leveling up, I really felt like at least every single level I was gaining something. Be it a new passive ability, be it a new rank of a spell, be it an entirely new spell, leveling felt very, very satisfying, and I really liked that about it. And again, you know, even if you have every max level character in the world, I think you should definitely just dive in. You know, maybe level an allied race so you can skip that Exile's Reach, go straight into a new expansion, and maybe even unlock some of the Heritage Armor, which is, you know, fantastic, of course, which is now capped to level 50, by the way. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That is my kind of ramble on Chromie time. TLDW, Warlords of Draenor is going to be your go-to, but if you want to have a good time and you want to just chill out and do some leveling in the pre-patch, I recommend that you just try it. You know, go to the expansion that you like the most, give it a go, and if you end up hating the level experience of that expansion, go to Draenor. You won't regret it. It's still, as I said, a fun time. The questing is pretty phenomenal in Draenor, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, guys, that is my thoughts on Chromie time. Let me know down below if you've done any testing on the PTR of Chromie time, or Time Walking Journeys as it's now called, and let me know what your kind of thoughts on it. And yeah, I feel like, you know, this is very opinionated. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people have way more fun leveling through different expansions. So yeah, as I said, do let me know down below what your thoughts are, and if you do plan on leveling it all in the pre-patch. Yeah, and which expansion are you going to choose? I'm very, very curious on that. So before I go, guys, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome, and if you'd like to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. We've also got a partner Discord channel with over 3,000 members. And as I said, I am now streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. So if you want to see me testing out Chromie time and doing all that stuff, I'll be over on twitch.tv/MrGM. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.